Hi Pranay,
Hello.
welcome to An Hour with LawSikho. This is Ramanuj Mukherjee. Hi everybody. We are very late. We are sorry. We had some problems with our equipments today, and because of that, we are a bit late. Not a bit, like we are a good 20 minutes late. So my apologies in the beginning itself. But yeah, let's hope that the discussion is worth your time and worth the wait. So hi Pranay. Of course, we have already introduced you, but still, like, want to hear from you yourself. What have you been doing? What's
Okay.
your background?
Hello, everyone. Again, I apologize for this delay. Well, and we'll try to make the most of it. About me, after graduating law, now I'm working with this company called Bhikshu Granimart. I take care of all their legal matters, like I'm the in-house counsel. This company is basically an importer and exporter of marbles and granites from all over the world, and we export it from India as well. So that's my current position.
Yeah, and what have you been doing before that, though?
Okay, so after graduating, I immediately went for my master's, after which I was working with ALMT Legal for a while. And then I had to take a break because I got married. So that was the turning point where I had to choose and shift another job.
Okay. So, why did you decide to become a lawyer in the first place? Like, what made you want to become one in the profession? Like, it's a tough profession, right? Like, you could always do a business. So, why did you decide to be a lawyer in the first place?
Well, honestly, I would say, I mean, it wasn't destiny or anything of those sorts. It was a mixed decision of research and time. After graduating school, while I was studying commerce, I spent 6 months in different offices, 6 months in a chartered accountant's office, 6 months in a lawyer's office, 6 months elsewhere. And based on that experience, I took the decision out of my interest to pursue law ahead.
And what really interested you? Like, if we can ask a question about that, like, why not chartered accountant? Why not something else? Why lawyer?
Well, in the 6 months that I was, while I was researching, I was fortunate to be mentored by Advocate S.K. Jain, who is one of the senior advocates in the Pune circle. And I also worked with his nephew, Mr. Pankaj Jain, who handles the IP team in his office. So when I was working there as compared to a chartered accountancy, the prospect of being innovative was much more. That is what I felt, being a lawyer, especially in the litigation area, as compared to being a chartered accountant, where you have to sit in the office pretty much most of the time. I'm sorry if, I mean, that's what I feel.
So you mean that being a lawyer involves more cerebral work, which attracted you?
Yeah, in a way to say so.
Great. So now my question is that when you studied at ILS, right?
Right, I did.
So you went through ILS and you decided to become a lawyer in a law firm. To be
Yes.
honest, I think most of the people in ILS do not make that choice. Uh, ILS is known for being a college from where we have large number of litigators, and your original inspiration was also from a litigator. So what made you go into a law firm?
Well,
Asking these questions only to understand the background from which we'll be asking the future questions, because when we relate to you in a better way, we know that your decisions and your insights will make more sense to us.
Well, honestly, being in a law firm, I was with the litigation team. So, law firm was just the tag. I was pretty much into litigation as any other counsel would be. But the difference was, being in a law firm, we also get the experience of drafting as well as arguing in the lower courts. So, the decision to get into a law firm with their litigation team was to get the experience of drafting as well as arguing smaller matters at the same time than to join a council directly. And honestly, I wanted to join a council after a couple of years of practice, but destiny had its own turns. So, but yeah, being with the law firm, I was pretty much doing the litigation work which I always wanted to.
Okay. So when you started doing litigation, like, I think there is a significant difference between practicing in the court directly maybe in an advocate's chamber or starting your own independent law practice and working in a law firm. Would you say there is a significant difference? What is the difference, if at all?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's a huge, huge difference when you're working with uh, probably a practicing advocate or under any counsel or someone. The exposure is much, much, much higher when it comes to physically arguing the cases. Whereas when you are doing a law firm litigation practice, you've got minimum exposure, but you do have exposure. I mean, it actually honestly depends on the firm whether they would let you argue or not. I was fortunate. MT, my senior, did allow me to argue quite a few matters myself. And I mean, the major difference was with the paperwork. I understood handling of paperwork, filing of papers, taking notes, understanding the basis on which an argument is made much better in a law firm. So, I mean, both of them have their own pros and cons. It is purely to know what you really want to do.
So, how does it work? Like, if you are beginning to practice in a law firm, like, just explain to us why do even a client come to a lawyer? Why not go to a lawyer directly? Why go to a law firm? They could just go to the arguing counsel, maybe, like, or maybe to uh, a solicitor. Like, how does this work? Why do people go to law firms for litigation?
Well, it's a very tricky question, actually. It's really difficult to answer, but giving that a thought, that actually multiple parameters. First of that, lawyer is someone you trust probably the most outside your family or any person when it comes to a case. So it doesn't matter whether a lawyer is a solicitor, he's not going to argue as a counsel, he's going to hire someone else to argue your counsel. It's the matter of trust. So choosing a lawyer is purely out of trust. That's what most of the partners in law firms do. They get in the clients. That's what their role is. That is out of trust. So a client comes to a law firm or goes to a counsel directly is a matter of reference and trust primarily. Secondly, law firms tend to offer you a better package in the overall spectrum. So if you go to a law firm today you've got a small case. I'm speaking in perspective of a firm like the way we are working today. Today, when I approach a law firm, it's a better package. For any small legal issue, I can approach the law firm and they have their respective teams ready to tackle your issue. So it's a much holistic package on a call away as compared to going to a counsel where, he's also busy with so many of his personal matters. He might not be able to answer your questions right away on certain smaller issues, rather.
So, are you saying that the customer service angle is added by the law firms in a way?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's a business to look into. Uh, it's a customer service driven business. You can put it across. Business is a wrong term here, but for simplest understanding of most of the viewers, you can relate it to as customer service business.
Client service, we can say. I mean, anyway, that's a term that law firms use, client service.
The client customers. I mean, given the background that I am in, I'm used to a new terminology now, customers. But yeah, client service.
Okay. So, when you join into this kind of a setup, how do you add value to the system? Like, you have joined as a first year associate into a dispute resolution team in a law firm. What does your day look like? When does your boss say that, yeah, you have done a good job? Can you give us a picture of that?
Oh, honestly, I've not heard that in 2 years. I mean, your boss is never satisfied or happy with you. Even though he is, he would just not want to say it to you to motivate you more, especially when you are a younger counsel, so that you always have the hunger to hear those magical words out of his mouth. It's something of that feeling. Oh, for me, being with ALMT, the advantage was I interned only with ALMT. My strategies were pretty much set on day one of law school. I did not want to experiment. I did two internships, of which I liked ALMT better as a holistic package. Throughout my 5 years, I interned only with ALMT and once in my final year with Justice Lalit. I was his first intern after elevation. So then when I got absorbed into ALMT, it was much more easier than a fresher because I knew the team, I knew the staff, I knew the partners, I knew the work culture, I understood what they expected out of a first year associate much better than a fresher. So when I walked in on day one, I was much more prepared. So I mean, we days were very very different. My first month, I remember I used to get off work at 6 o'clock, and in second month, I remember we had an arbitration for one of our public sector company where I was working from 7 in the morning till 12 at night for an entire week. We had to file our issues. So I mean, work in a law firm, hours are absolutely unknown. So that was pretty much my experience there. I also was assigned to Balaji Telefilms. They were undergoing some legal changes, so I was there on secondment for a month, where they were coming up with the new application called Alt Balaji, something similar to your Hotstar or something. So I had to take care of drafting of all the contracts and everything in that firm. So I had a variety of work with myself at ALMT.
So that gives us a nice glimpse into the life of a first year law associate. But you mentioned something. You said that you understood from beforehand what is expected from a first year associate in a law firm. Can you
Yes.
tell us more about that? What is expected?
Honestly, you're expected to slog your ass out. I mean, pardon my words, but yes, that's the truth. When you are there, they expect you to know why you are here. You cannot walk into a law firm on day one and say, okay, I don't understand CPC, tell me what to do. Your seniors are there to guide you and not to teach you. So you have to learn everything by yourself. That's why internships are extremely important and productive internships so that you know what you are going there. Your seniors would guide you if there was an urgent matter. I remember my first appearance was in the CBI court. My senior was on a sick leave. I just got a call saying there's a matter in the CBI court. You have to go. You have to press on this issue. These are the papers. You've got an hour to prepare. Now, in that hour, you're supposed to know the procedure. You're not supposed to know the case. You're supposed to grasp as much as you can. So they're not there to sit, pat you down, teach you, okay, this is what has happened, this is how next thing would happen. No, they would guide you, definitely, but they're not there to teach you. That's why it's important to know things beforehand, especially when you're going into real practice. People are not there to teach you. They're there to guide you if they're good. If they're not good, you might not even get to hear that.
So you said that when you were interning, you learned a lot, and it was a crucial phase for you. So
Yes.
what did you do during the internship that you learned so much and you became self sufficient in terms of doing all these things?
So with regards to my internship, uh, my first internship was with their property team, where my mentor was Mr. Alpesh Parekh, who now heads the AZB Pune team. So I was with them for 2 months, following which in my second internship, when I was there, I had a counsel called Raj Lakshmi, who is now practicing independently. She was my biggest mentor throughout my law internship career, and also Mr. Hitesh Jain, my partner, who was guiding me through all of this. He's played a huge, huge role. What I really appreciate with him was I remember one incident. We had gone to the I was sitting in the office. I really had no work. So Mr. Hitesh Jain was there, the senior partner, Mr. Subhash Jadhav, the junior partner of the firm back then. They just told me, you're free, let's go to the court. I drove with them to the court. Mr. Hitesh Jain left for the matter, and I was absolutely unaware what the matter was, where it was. And I just walked around the court with Mr. Subhash Jadhav. He had a couple of his meetings with the councils. I did that and I came back. And an hour later, Mr. Hitesh Jain walks into the office. In the middle of the office with 60 people surrounding in the chambers, he's just raised his voice at me and he's like, are you here to have fun, loiter around, or to learn? And he walked away. It took me a while to understand that, but his point was, when I've taken you to the court, it was your duty to know why you've gone there, for what matter, It is not for him to tell you why he's taking you there. The fact that you've got the opportunity is why you should go there. So that one statement of his, when I was in my third year, lasted for 5 years till the time I was with ALMT under him. So that one statement changed my career, that it is your job to know and it is not his job to tell you.
I think we can hear that message again and again in everything you are saying, and I think that's a really fantastic takeaway for anybody who's listening. That when you go for internships, when you are doing a job, when whatever you may be doing, it is not the job of your boss to teach you and show you and guide you. It's your job to do it, and you figure out how to do it. Actually, nobody can teach you. To be honest, it's not they don't want to. Even if they want to, if they start showing you, they're not running a university. And when where there are universities, even they are not able to teach most of the people. You know how difficult it is. People don't want to learn. They fight with the teachers and they do everything. So this is a profession where you have to learn it on your own initiative, and
Yes,
that's like the most critical thing. And that's a message I think anybody who's listening to this today must. We have very few viewers today, but whoever is listening, I think they must take this message away. I mean, that's the most wonderful thing that I have heard in a while. That as a lawyer, you must you got to figure it out on your own. Nobody owes it to you, right?
yes, absolutely. I mean, you've understood the entire conversation in a statement. Yeah.
Great. So, I would like to know when you like, if you can tell us in a little more detail that what does a day look like for you? Like when you are working in a dispute resolution team, what do? You go to the court, you understand. Do you spend a lot of time researching? Do you spend a lot of time drafting? What kind of documents do you draft? If you can give us some ideas.
Okay, so I mean, it used to vary. I'll give you two examples to understand the situation better. I mean, both of them are equally possible on every given day. Your day starts, I mean, it all depends on the law firm, how the culture is. So the culture at ALMT was that 9 o'clock, the dispute resolution team is in office, means 9:05 is your upper limit. Beyond that, you are really screwed for that day. And mind you, when you're screwed, you are screwed. So there's a half an hour reporting. The entire day is planned out. Who's got what matters, what appearances. If someone's not got a matter today, what are they appearing for? So the entire discussion happens in that half an hour. So at ALMT, the culture that they followed was the partner who's gotten the case. So he's associated, a senior associate, and an associate. It's a team of three on every particular matter. If I'm on a particular matter, it's me, my senior associate, and my partner involved. In the half an hour discussion, we discuss who's going to do what aspect of the case for the day. If there is any appearances or any mentioning or any of those things to be done during the court hours, you are free by 10 o'clock to finish off. So the work in a litigation office starts only at 5 when you're done with the courts. Once you're back at 5, you've got some time to freshen up. After that, you are either drafting your arguments, you are preparing for a meeting with the council next day, or you are probably preparing the file for a matter next week if you've got some free time today. Or, I mean, the best thing that we had as in the first month was I was given a bare act and a commentary to be read up as much as I could every 3 days. So every 3 days they asked me to study a new act, and I was asked to give a presentation every Saturday about the two topics that I've read up on to my senior associate on every Saturday. So that inculcated the sense that you do not have any time to waste. So if you've got no matters, you've got no filings, you've got no briefs, you're not free to go. You've got work to study. So we worked from 5 to 8, 8:30 till whenever you have got your work. If you've got some more work, you extend. Like I mentioned earlier on one of the matters, I was working till 12 at night. So, I mean, you do your work and you go. There's no restriction on those.
That sounds very rigorous. So I just wanted to understand this from you. Like if you can share a bit about you know I think a lot what we face when you're in college is that there's everything is like a very casual environment that we deal with mostly. Like we deal with things very casually. If we have one essay to write, there is like a 1 month deadline for it, and if you have like uh, an exam to give, you can study last day and give the exam. you can go and say something in the viva and probably you will pass even if you are not exactly right. So we are used to a lot of kind of leeway as students when we are studying in college, right?
Yeah.
And from going from there to like suddenly in the environment, the kind of rigorous environment you are telling us about, isn't it like a kind of cultural shock? Like, how do you deal with this? Like, do you think a lot of young lawyers struggle with this?
Well, honestly, I would say a majority of the younger lawyers do struggle with this, including me. As much I would say that I knew what I was getting into because of my internships. I had an idea. I wanted to prepare myself for it as much as I could, but it is a cultural shock. The beauty of it was for me, it was not that big a shock that I would just sit back. I knew how to cope up with the pressure because ILS, I wouldn't comment upon, I mean, the rankings or the culture or the NUS versus the ILS culture or any of those things. The advantage or the beauty of ILS was we got free by one. After that, you've got your entire day free. Now it's all up to you what you want to do the entire day. I spent my first year, I mean, I had a good time. I used to play rugby back then. I enjoyed my game. I enjoyed my free time loitering around the city because I'm from Pune and I studied in Pune. I knew the city well. I had a good time. Second year, when I took things up a little more seriously, I was surrounded by a set of friends who were also pretty much serious in life. And I mean, things did take a good course with time, where I was lucky enough to represent India in a negotiation competition in my third year, and I was the quarter finalist at the Williams U. West in my fifth year. So the whole point of these examples are that I made myself busy in the free time from 1 to whatever time at night I wanted to. So I, in a way, prepared myself to always work and not be laid back or having idle time. And of course, when I was in LLM, the life was there was equally hectic as a life in law school. I mean, a first year associate's life is. So I groomed myself to be able to adapt to the law firm culture. But despite all of that, it was a cultural shock. When it all said and done, you can be prepared, but you'll never be prepared.
I think that's very true. You are never prepared. Like when the rubber meets the road, what happens is something that you have to figure out on the
Yeah.
road itself. But how would you advise young law students? How can they prepare, or even lawyers who are looking to get a good break into good law firms? How should they prepare themselves? Because I see a lot of people coming up to us and saying, I want to work in a great law firm. But on the other hand, what we see in them is that they are not ready to do the kind of work that goes into being a lawyer in such law firms. They're not used to that kind of rigorous work. That they're not used to, even if I ask them to sit down and work for 12 hours in a day, probably they'll not be able to, which is actually is required to work in these law firms.
Right.
How do you think that they could prepare? Like, how would you advise that? What are the things? What are the skills they should learn? What practices they can do that actually prepare them for a rigorous professional life like this, which is actually very difficult when they start.
I mean, for both the students and for professional probably looking to join in, I mean, my personal advice in this situation is out of experience, try and really try to understand what you as a person are, what your limitations are, and what your interest lies in, and what are your capabilities. I mean, you have to figure these out. I can't, I won't comment that about whether I'm successful or not, but I can comment that I'm happy with what I'm doing and the choices that I've made. The simple reason is I did experiment when I had the time to. Like I said, I spent 6 months in 11th and 12th standard throughout to understand what my interest lies in. When I was in law school, I had the entire day to experiment and explore. I did internships, I did multiple things to understand where my capabilities and my interests lie and what my experiences can help me reach. So, I mean, these are some things you have to figure out as a law student when you've got the opportunity to. You cannot leave things to your fifth year. And I mean, the second thing in this would be learn to market yourself. You cannot just randomly go and tell someone, hire me. The first question anyone would have, the basic one, is why you? Now, there are two ways to answer that question. One, if the person has been seeing you over time, like I did 5 internships at ALMT. I did not have the need to answer the question, why me? But if it was not the case and I was set up with an interview to anyone, I've got a minute to market myself as to why me over probably hundreds of other applicants. So the two things are, one, you need to figure out your interest. Don't go for the pay packages. Don't go for this. Yes, money is important, but with money, you need to have a sustainable balance of, you need to figure out whether you are actually capable enough to deliver to that. As you pointed out, Ramanu, that you've got a lot of younger lawyers, practicing lawyers saying we want to crack into law firms, but they probably do not have the zeal to work for 12 hours. Then you are not going to fit in and they're not going to hire you. So if you're looking for the package, you're looking for the name, you're looking for the brand, then you have to sacrifice on it. You can't have the cake and not grow fat. I mean, unless you got the metabolism too. But the point is, you have to figure these things out. It's simple and it's difficult at the same time. If you need to just spend time to think about these things.
So, I understand when you say that you have to figure out what you want to do and all of that. But let's say, just think that for a moment that I am a law student in my fourth year and I want to work in a good law firm, and I don't have the option to work in the same law firm 5 times, 5 internships, right? Although I think it's a fantastic idea. Somebody who can do it should totally do it. Like, I keep telling people that you must take a longer internship. Don't take a 1 month, 2 month internship. Intern for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year if possible, in a good place. Like if you don't like the internship, you don't like the people, don't stick around. But if you find a good internship where you are learning, where you are growing, stick on. But beyond that, what did you advise that, what are the things a law student, or let's say I'm a lawyer, I'm already graduated and I'm working and I'm not doing really well as I would like to do in my career. What would be your advice to me that, okay, these are the things you should do every day to get there, to develop yourself, so that, somebody like ALMT will want to, you have reached the level where a firm like ALMT or any other firm for that matter will want to hire you for your skills and your ability.
Oh, well, in that situation, I mean, if you're in the fourth year or fifth year student and you're probably, working already as a first year associate, in this situation, honestly, I feel you have to be extremely strategic than to be ambitious and greedy. Rather, I mean, ambition is one part, but greedy is another aspect. Rather, you should be more strategic. For example, if you're getting a job in a smaller law firm or with a counsel and you're aspiring a bigger law firm, I personally feel it is always better to take the smaller job because any law firm would be interested to hire an experienced person as compared to someone who's got no background. So you can't just sit home hoping that someday a law firm would come in. The reason for this, what I think so, is when you're doing your job, I mean, under a council, a small time council or a small time law firm, you keep going to the court, you keep exploring, you keep meeting, you keep socializing. And I mean, that's where you try to connect. Understand one thing, the law firms, as we had discussed earlier, is in a place where they want to give the best experience to their clients. They can do that when they have the best people. So every law firm is on a lookout for the best all the time. So there's not that they don't have the vacancy, they just need someone to fit in what they are looking for. So if you think you've got it, then try socializing, try meeting their senior associates, try getting a meeting with their partner. If you can't meet, look them up, who their partners are, what they do, and if someone of them is coming to the court, for example, try bumping into them, try meeting them, try having a conversation with them, try getting a meeting with them. I mean, you have to work hard towards that. And if you're looking for corporate, I mean, you're not into the litigation, you're looking into a corporate circle, you're in a smaller law firm, you want to jump into a law firm, write articles, try getting them published. I mean, Art Leaders is a good place. It's good exposure. You've got so many younger students and lawyers coming in, trying to see what's happening around. And similarly, there's so many other legal magazines and articles where you've got things running around. I mean, you are so lucky as compared to probably our seniors who graduated in 2010 who did not have these platforms. You've got good platforms to market yourself. Do that. Write articles. If your article is good quality, people will publish it. And once it's published, people will read it. So that's how you get yourself known in the market for them to even give you an opportunity to arrange a meeting or an interview with them. The point is, you have to work towards what you want. You can't just sit idle saying, okay, let it come. Or I've applied for the job, I've sent my emails, I've written a good cover letter, now I'm waiting to hear from them.
And
No.
nobody's replying to me. Why are they not replying to me? That doesn't work, right? You have to actually, nobody reads those emails. You should remember that the emails you're sending, probably nobody has time to open and read them. They straight go to junk in most of the cases. Is that true?
Yeah, I wouldn't say this straight go to junk, but try and understand a partner in a law firm does not have time to look into an email of an associate and read his CV. He has probably 20 or 30 matters in a particular day. He's got 20 different associates, senior associates to look into. He's got the firm finances to look into. He's really got more important things than to read your email. So, I mean, to get there, you have to have your approaches. I mean, try speaking to your friends, see whether there's an opening. Ask them how you can get an application, how can you meet BHR to set up an interview. Get to know the seniors. Try to get yourself presentable and marketed well for them to see who you are.
Basically, there's a lot of groundwork that you need to do. You just cannot send an email and keep calling them 10 times and can you have you seen my mail? Can I get a response? That doesn't work, right? You have to really build relationships in the farm with people who may not be able to give you the job, but even for the purpose of getting the right information and getting introduced to the maybe next level of people, you need to build those relationships, right?
Yes, but also, I mean, in some cases, it's not, I mean, I would disagree, but in some cases, calling them 10 times helps. So, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to try your luck that way, you can definitely try. It does help in
I
sometimes.
just want to tell you, like, I was talking to some people in some big law firms recently who are handling internship applications and job applications. And what they say is that every day we are getting 300 applications for people who want jobs. And in a month, we get around 50 to 90,000 applications, depending on which month it is for internship. They're like, we are not opening those mails. There's no way we can even open those mails. And then we get people calling us saying that can you reply to my email? We say that we don't reply to email. Sorry, if we hire you, we'll hire you. Otherwise, we won't even reply to you. Not possible. So that's the truth. I mean, there was a time when calling people up used to work. We used to recommend to people, call them up. You have applied, it's fine. Give them a call, pester them. But it has stopped working because too many people are doing it.
I mean, yeah, things and times have changed. You have to, I mean, when I see the difference, when I was appearing for CLAD, there was a number of applications. Now the number was more than a lakh. So, I mean, law is not the profession anymore what it was 30 years ago. I don't know how many of the viewers have heard the statement where it said that life में करने को कुछ नहीं है तो वकीली कर लो. So, I mean, it's not that situation anymore. It's a highly respected profession. So a lot of people are pursuing it. So competitions are higher. You have to have your strategies right. You have to get your groundwork right.
Great. So let's move on from this. We have quite a few questions actually. We should address a few of them now.
Okay.
So one question: is it a good option to do MBA after graduation, or should do job in firm and then go for MBA? As experience is also very necessary.
Well, I mean, see, my current position is an in-house legal for a firm which is into marbles, and I'm also the business development. They're coming up with, they're trying to enter the health industry. On the 18th of Jan, we are launching a new product for female hygiene. So, I mean, yeah, so probably I can address this question in a different way. You have to understand what you want to do. What is the purpose of doing an MBA? Because if you want to work in a law firm, it's of no use. If you want to work with a probably in-house of some good company or something, business acumen is needed. I did not do an MBA, but I was born and brought up in a business family. So I understood the nerves of business from the day I started teething. So, for you to get this thing done, uh, I mean, it depends on what you really want to do. Whether you should do an MBA immediately or you should work, get some experience and do an MBA. I would prefer if you have some time off, you understand how the industry is working, and then selecting your MBA, your college, and then you plan out what you want to do next. So it's for the viewer who's asked this question, I think you need to figure out what you want to do and why MBA specifically.
So this question was from Abhipriya. Thank you, Abhipriya, for that question. We have another question from Bharatwaj Thania Rasu, who is asking us if we prefer litigation, then which is a better course, like BBA LLB or BA LLB? Like I think, yeah. So like, is there a difference between different courses if you want to do litigation? That's why he's trying to ask.
Oh, well, honestly, I mean, you do a BALLB, BBLLB, or anything when you get into litigation, whether you've done your master's from Harvard or you've done it from NUS or you've done it from Pune University. Honestly, in litigation on day one, everyone is at the same footing. So BALLB or BBLLB is not going to make a huge difference. The entire discussion that we were having today about how you should plan, what your working style should be, understanding what you want to do and what you do not want to do. These things would help you in litigation much better, because again, I would like to state, they are not there to teach you, they are there to guide you. You have to learn for yourself. So BALLB or BBLLB is not going to make a huge difference when you're looking at litigation per se.
To be honest, I would say that what you learn in the college is not going to help much at all. When you start litigating, you have to like learn a whole world of new things that you have no clue about when
Right.
you are in college. So BB LLB, BSc LLB, whatever you do, or just LLB, 3 year LLB, 5 year LLB. I think pretty much you have to you have to learn a whole different skill set. So how you learn that is a different question, but you have to figure out how you learn. Now, another very interesting question we have got from Abhipriya is that in the first year, what kind of work do the law firm give you? And I think what she meant to ask also is that how does it change over time? Like, in first year you get certain kind of work. How does it evolve over time? I think that's a very important question if you can answer.
Oh, I'll give you a couple of examples. See, honestly, every law firm's got their own working style. What I personally prefer is, if you're looking at real growth in life, it's always advisable to start with lower law firms as compared to getting into the bigger names, because there you have probably hundreds of associates to do your work. So you're not going to get that many opportunities. So a second tier law firm, or a fresher law firm, a newer law firm, is where you will get to learn a lot of things. So probably your first couple of months, you would not expect a lot of work. You would be given most of the cases to read upon. And if you have handled them well, you've read them well, and you've got some discussions on that particular case with your senior. And if they see that you have understanding the matter, they'll put you up on the case. And with time, they would try to evaluate you by giving you different assignments. Okay, try calling the client and get these documents arranged. Or why don't you put up a summary of the points of the facts of the case for the counsel? Or why don't you set up a meeting with the counsel, go brief him on the case and see what he wants? So these give you smaller assignments to evaluate you in your first 3 months. And then based on that evaluation, would you be put up on matters based on how you perform on your tasks? So they would be looking out at how you're performing and giving you tasks at every step, every single day, without you realizing it.
So, how do the kind of work you do from first year changes, let's say in your second year?
Honestly, for the first 2 to 3 years, you shouldn't really expect a huge change. The difference would be in yourself and not in the work experience, because you would be doing pretty much the similar work for the first 2 years. It's just that what you understood in the first month versus what you understood in the 6 month versus what you are understanding in the second year is much different. Your grasping power and your analytical thinking abilities are much quicker. So you would be doing that well. Probably you can aim at from the end of second year and third year. You would giving much more independence to handle the matters. So on the first year, if you've been given a matter, They won't let you go and brief a counsel, or they won't let you go and argue a case. But in the third year, they're going to tell you, okay, fine, this is a small issue that needs to be argued today. Instead of hiring a counsel, we'll put you up, go argue it. If you can't do it, seek an adjournment or do something and come back. So they'll put you, I mean, by the third year, they'll give you some independence to appear by yourself. And if you're confident enough, well, you're good to go. And if you are not doing as expected by the law firm, well, I mean, then you need to work things out that way.
I think that's a very valuable, insights that you have shared today. Honestly speaking, for somebody who's, uh, trying to figure this out. How does this work in a law firm? If I'm going to work in a dispute resolution team, how it is going to work? And another thing I wanted to ask you before we kind of wrap up, we have a couple of questions also. Since we are late, we'll go a little beyond 9 p.m. also to answer the questions to finish the discussion. One thing is that I wanted to ask really is that, with respect to, like, let's say somebody is working in a dispute resolution team and another person is working in corporate. What is the difference? You must have had like ALMT would have had a corporate team as well. So, what did you see as a difference in the kind of work you do, the kind of growth you have, the kind of life you have? What's the difference between dispute resolution and corporate transactions teams? And also, I want to mention a lot of times people say that uh, people prefer dispute resolution teams over corporate teams. Why is that?
Oh, well, I mean, it's difficult. What I have understood with my colleagues working in different sector, in your initial years in a litigation team, you have some respect and value, whereas in a corporate team, you're more of a dignified clerk because you've got no idea what's happening around. You can't just be put up on a transaction and said, okay, fine. So, I mean, you're more of a dignified clerk doing due diligences and, responding to emails and those things on the lines. But at the third year stage, being a corporate lawyer or your litigation lawyer, it has both of them have their own fancies. You don't sit at your desk all day long as compared to a corporate lawyer. In the litigation team, you get to roam around. You have, if you've got cases from different tribunals in the country or Supreme Court, you get to travel. You get to travel in the corporate team as well when you've got some experience. But I mean, the work culture is different. They've got more of reading to do. They've got more discussions. They've got more negotiations happening when they're styling of the deal. You've got to be extremely, extremely careful with reading because try to understand this story, okay? A corporate lawyer is going to draft the agreement or the contract, but it's the litigation lawyer who's going to argue it. So it's your duty to draft the contract so good in the first place that the litigation lawyer need not come in. So, I mean, the corporate lawyer has to be a step more careful when he's drafting something as compared to a litigation lawyer, because if you do something wrong, then it's going to go into litigation. Say, drafting of your partnership deed for a particular partnership form coming up. You have to have your dispute resolutions set in because tomorrow, if the partners decide to split and they don't have a proper dispute resolution, there's going to be a huge litigation, and that's when the entire partnership deed is going to come into the purview. So your litigation lawyer is going to look into it. So you as a corporate lawyer have to be very careful when you're drafting. The litigation lawyers, on the other hand, you have to be very careful when you are reading, because if you miss a comma, you misinterpret a comma, or you skip a line, or you just brush through a line, it might change the entire meaning and you might lose a winning case. So both of them have to be careful, but the proximities or the areas are a little different.
So we'll take one last question we have from Nandish Shah. He's asking if your internships mostly in Bombay firms like Shardul, Amaj and Mangaldas, they don't give much drafting such as plain or written statements. So in your first year, how should you approach drafting?
Uh, Again, I mean, my personal opinion would be try avoiding the bigger law firms in your initial years of your career and even in your internship phase. Because understand, Shardul Amarchand has got more than 600 associates. They've got more than 100 interns at a given time all over the country. So you are going to be amongst the 100. So you don't expect to get a lot of work when you, as compared to a midterm law firm, you can approach Juriscorp or ALMT Legal or Vadia Gandhi. When you approach those level law firms, your competition is amongst 20 or 10 interns. So the caseload or the workload that is being given onto an intern is much higher as compared to a tier one law firm. There is the opportunity for you to learn much more and make yourself recognizable much better. So if you have the opportunity of doing multiple internships in a mid-tier law firm, try doing that, get yourself recognizable. Once you've got a considerable experience, then approach the bigger firms to get you them to hire you. Then they would accept you in a much better way as compared to a mid-term or approaching a tier one law firm on step one directly. That's my personal opinion to everyone.
Okay, I think that was a great session, and we are going to wrap this up. Thank you very much, Pranay. I think this was a fantastic session. With you have given us shared some really deep insights, and I think this is going to really encourage and help the law students. Today itself, somebody was telling me that why didn't you start these things when we were in law school? And we were like, well, we should have, like, we missed out, man. But yeah, I think this is wonderful. The law students and the young lawyers today are very lucky to get guidance from people like you. And thank you very much, Pranay. And we hope to have you again on our An Hour with LawSikho in the future. Simply because the quality of insights is fantastic, and I know there's so much more we could discuss about your LLM and your business development and in-house work. But I think the scope is very big there. We should take this up another time. Thank you so much, and everyone. I hope hope to see you again. Almost every day we are having some fantastic uh, uh, guests. Tomorrow also we have at the same time 8 o'clock, and look forward to having you here again with us. Take care. All the best. Bye.
It was an absolute pleasure. I wish everyone all the best for their futures, and I hope I could help you guys in whatever way I could. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Ramanuj and I, for having me and giving me this opportunity. It
Thank
was
you,
a
man.
pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.